You remember this guy, Richard Grenell? I say, do you remember him? Because Trump dumped so much shit into the flow of public information in any given 24-hour period. It's hard to remember how he fucked up the day before because he fucks up today and then the next day and the next day and the next day. But if you remember Richard Grenell, he's the one that Trump made the acting director of national intelligence after he fired, who was the one before him? And the reason he fired the one before him is because Trump just didn't like the way that the acting director of national intelligence prior to this jerk was answering questions. He was answering them to a degree of honesty that Trump found disgusting. But anyway, back to Grenell. He's the acting director of national intelligence, the new one. He's a former ambassador to Germany, and he's such a prick that the German government refused to talk to him. He was our ambassador to Germany. And the German government didn't want anything to do with him. Apparently, he's one of these bully boys. He thinks he's a tough motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? And he related real well with the right-wing fascists that are starting to rise up again in Germany, and not just Germany. I mean, all over, mostly Eastern Europe, but also in Western Europe and this country. Next couple of decades are going to be a mindfuck. You're aware of that, right? Anyway, Grenell was scheduled to appear before Congress today to speak about the threats that the Russians are directing against our election again this year. They want Trump reelected because they know he's a useful idiot. They can get out of him any fucking thing they want, and they don't have to give anything in return. As a matter of fact, I think it's Canadian and American interceptor jets had to stop a Russian spy plane that was hovering around U.S.-Canadian territory in the last 24 hours. But, when Trump thinks that Putin is his friend, he's such a dumb fuck, Trump is. He thinks Kim Jong-un and he write love letters back and forth. He's such an idiot, and he's so worked by these people. But anyway, the reason Grenell declined to appear before Congress today as scheduled to speak about these foreign election threats was because he was worried. This is according to three people who spoke with the Washington Post on conditions of anonymity. He was worried that he didn't know enough yet to address these sensitive subjects that tend to upset the orange fuckhead in the Oval Office. That's right. Richard Grenell, being an ignorant, I don't give a shit he went to Harvard. That doesn't mean shit to me. It shouldn't mean anything to you either. He is an American proto-fascist. And one of the reasons he was sent to Germany as ambassador is to help nurture the fascist groups that are rising up in Germany and making contact, opening the way for contact between the fascist groups in Germany and the fascist groups in the United States. This Richard Grenell is a threat. He's a tremendous threat. And now he is the acting director of national intelligence, which means that when information comes in about how our election cycle once again is being assaulted by foreigners, primarily by the Russians, this piece of shit has decided not to tell anybody because it upsets Trump. It upsets Trump to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, that yes, Trump is getting and must have all sorts of subterfuge from foreign agents in order for this fucker to win anything. And according to the Washington Post, Grenell asked Trump, "Daddy, can I be excused from the briefings?" And his reason was because he anticipated there would be pointed questions from the Democrats. From the Democrats. Pointed questions about politically volatile subjects, politically volatile for the orange bastard in the White House. Subjects like intelligence assessments that Russia is again interfering, still, not again, constantly interfering in U.S. elections. Mara Beard, a spokeswoman for the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, in other words, a Trump whore, political whore. No sexism intended. I'm not referring to sexual parts. She is a political whore, which means she sells herself to Trump. What do you call that? I call it a whore. So Mara Beard, who is a whore for Trump and happens to be the spokeswoman for the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, said in the statement that the agency never told Congress that Richard Grenell would appear and participate in the brief. We never said that, even though it was put on the schedule twice a week apart. This is why Mara Beard is a whore. She sells what little integrity she has, what little honesty she might be familiar with. She sells it to Trump. She is a whore. And Richard Grenell is a son of a bitch because he is the Director of National Intelligence, not to provide a comprehensive package to deliver to the President of the United States based on input from 16 American intelligence agencies about the threat to our system. That's not his job. That's supposed to be his job. But his job is to, as this shit comes in, destroy it. So he is a fuckhead. She is a whore. Mara Beard's statement said, quote, "The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are the lead in charge of securing our elections, and the intelligence community is participating in today's briefings in support of that mission. The intelligence community is focused on detecting and countering foreign election-related threats." She states what the function of the National Intelligence Agency is supposed to be. But they're not doing that. In fact, they're doing worse than the opposite. They're doing nothing. They're preventing intelligence from getting through. That's why Mara Beard is a whore. And why Richard Grenell is a traitorous motherfucker who should be run out of the country. But they both work for Donald Trump. So they're safe. According to Mara Beard, somebody named William Ivanina will appear instead of the filthy son of a bitch Richard Grenell, who is assisting Trump in destroying our electoral process. William Ivanina supposedly appeared today. I have no idea because I didn't pay any attention to it. Grenell's name was on a list of people who would speak to Congress. That list was put out on February 27th and again yesterday on the list. And yet the whore, the spokeswoman for the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Mara Beard, said, "We never said he was going to be there." Bitch, it was on 2 lists that you put out. But in the age of Trump, the bitches and bastards and whores and gangsters who work for this fucker know that they can lie with impunity. And when the media says, wait a second, you said on Monday, fake news. It's that goddamn Adam Schiff, fake news. It's fucking unbelievable. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to The Ranting with the audio podcast, or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com. And never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.